What's up, everybody? Last week we got Season 4 of Black Ops 6 and Warzone. Kind of a disappointing season so far with just bugs and all that, but the meta did change, so even though it's been a disappointing season so far, of course we're going to cover the meta. The long-range meta did shift. I think two guns that were pretty prevalent in the meta last year will surprise you. One's not on the list, one is at the bottom of the list, and some resurgence of some other metas have kind of come up. So we're not going to take too long to get in the loadouts, but before I do, when you're done watching this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content and want to see it first, and comment down below what you think of the loadouts, the builds for each gun, etc. If you want to come see me play live or hang out live, tell me I'm bad or dumb live. Twitch is linked down below, as well as all my other social media channels if you want to support me anywhere else, and my single player channel if that's your kind of thing. And of course, as usual, we're going to look at loadouts and then true game data, so I will link true game data down below if you want to go compare guns, loadouts, whatever yourself. That will be linked down below as well. Without further ado, let's go jump into the loadouts. Okay, and so we're starting off with something that's not really in the meta, but like for mouse and keyboard players or really skilled players, the DM10 hasn't been negatively impacted since it became devastating. It's got a crazy time to kill. It's hard to use. It's the same loadout that I recommended the last two videos. I think it was in both of the last two. The Willis 3 times. Monolithic Suppressor. Now, you'll see this is, I think, the only appearance of the Monolithic Suppressor on this list. Of course, anytime it's an easy-to-shoot gun, go with the Monolithic Suppressor if you feel comfortable. But Compensator's not going to do much for us here. Reinforced barrel. Between the monolithic suppressor and reinforced barrel, you're getting a lot of damage range and bullet velocity together. Lightweight hand grip for the aim idle sway. Extended mag 2. It says 30. I think it's 50 or 60, but there's a visual bug here and I don't remember off the top of my head what it actually is, but it's not 30. 30 is multiplayer. Commando grip for faster ADS sprint to fire, buffer weight stock to take out most of the recoil, which is part of the reason why we don't have a compensator on here, and then overpressure to add bullet velocity. This thing, high skill to use, high reward for hitting your shots. If you're going 5 attachments, you can drop the optic, but I think the stock optic is horrendous. You need the buffer weight stock, so we would drop the commando grip, we would drop the underbarrel, and then we would drop either the firing mods, which in this case is overpressured, or you drop the optic. That's kind of up to you, but I think the stock optic is horrendous, so we don't go with the stock optic there. Moving on to the 5th is the Kilo. This is the one that I mentioned dropped off. What's not on here, spoiler alert, is AMAX. Everything on here is easy to shoot with an as competitive time to kill or better than the AMAX is, and the AMAX isn't necessarily hard to shoot, but it's not as easy to shoot as anything on this list, and everything on this list TTK-wise is competitive. So we're going with the Willis 3 times. I know a lot of people are going with the Jason Armory, or people are still running 1 times. Optic is always up to you. We don't want Monolithic Suppressor on this. That's a mistake. Compensator. Like I said, every gun on this list is easy to shoot, so if you feel like they're easy enough, go with the Monolithic Suppressor, so you can get the bullet velocity and damage range benefits, but it also hurts your ADS, which is something you have to consider, where the compensator has no negatives and helps vertical recoil and recoil stabilization. Reinforced barrel because of the bullet velocity and the damage range. If you are deciding that the gun is very easy to shoot, you can go monolithic suppressor and then go long barrel for damage range, and then at the end go overpressured, but we have the compensator here. Then vertical foregrip, extended mag 2. There is an extended mag 3, which is 80 rounds, but it really hurts your ADS and reload time, so I go with 60. 60 is enough. Commando grip, no stock and light stock are going to be everyone on this list because they help with hip fire movement speed, and strafing movement speed. A lot of people will also use the balanced stock because it gives you aim walking speed as well, which when you're in a gunfight can help some, but it helps more with ADS walking. And then either overpressured or recoil springs. If you need a little more recoil help, go recoil springs, but I think you'll be okay with overpressured. They did add more recoil when they nerfed it this season, just a little bit more, so it might be wise to switch to recoil springs. 5 attachments, you remove the fire mod, you remove the stock, you remove the rear grip, and you're left Willis 3 times compensator, reinforced barrel, vertical foregrip, and extended mag, but I do like to run 8 attachments as often as possible. I guess everyone technically does. Number 4, we actually have the GPR. The GPRs Also a really good sniper support, but it's been really good long range as well. And it's the exact same build, even up to extended mag 2, which has 60 rounds, just like the Kilo. I do put recoil springs on this one because this one's a little more recoil than the Kilo, so I do go recoil springs here. But once again, if you're finding this very easy to shoot, go monolithic suppressor, long barrel, and overpressured. You could just go with the compensator and the reinforced barrel now and go overpressured. A lot of things you can do if you think this is easy to shoot, but this makes it really easy to shoot, and you would take off the firing mod stock and rear grip again as well for 5 attachments. Moving on to long range 3 is the Cypher. This and the GPR were kind of the returning metas that I was referencing at the beginning of the video. Once again, it's the exact same build. You can do the exact same things if you find it easy to shoot, because everything on this list is easy to shoot. And for 5 attachments, you remove fire mod, stock, and commando grip. And then moving on to number 2, we have the Growl conversion on the SWAT. Now, some controversy here is I'm using an optic. People will say that's a sin, but I like to use an optic. It makes it really easy if you don't need an optic to do 5 attachments. But optic compensator, there is no barrel on this. So we actually put a laser on there, although I don't know if I would run it with a laser. Because it's visible in ADS, but what the target laser does is in the aim idle sway delay. When you're actively shooting an AR, you're not really going to notice aim idle sway a lot because you're probably moving your AR, plus you have aim assist. But if you want to use all 8 attachments, this is the one I would go with. And the other thing is none of the mags are compatible except this full auto extended mag, which gives you 50 rounds. So it's something, extended mag is, it won't show me unless I remove the thing, but it's like 50 or 60 rounds as well. So you got to go with that mag, so that's a little bit different as well. But other than that, the build's the same, light stock, vertical foregrip. If you want to do 5 attachments and you want an optic, you remove the fire mod. Oh, wait, no, you have to have the fire mod on this one. You would remove the laser, the stock, and the rear grip, and there's your 5 attachments. If you want, you could also go and remove the optic, and then throw on, like, the light stock or the balance stock, and then this is how I would run it if you're going no optic and 5 attachments. But I'm blind, so I need an optic. So it's your choice of optic, as usual, of course. And you can tell I don't really use it. Not leveled up all the way. Because what I use is what everyone's using, and that is the Krig. And the Krig is the exact same build as every other build on this list, except we have recoil springs, because I think the Krig does need the recoil springs help a little bit. And you can make the modifications we've already mentioned for other guns, and it's obviously your choice of optic. And this time, like the Kilo, it's no stock, because that's the same as light stock. And the builds are the same as they've been. The meta, unfortunately, did not shift with Season 4, among other performance issues. That is one of the reasons why I've said Season 4 is disappointing, because the meta hasn't really shifted too much. The sniper support meta, which I'm thinking about doing a video later this week, has shifted, and the close range meta had 1 added and everything pushed back. You know what I'm talking about if you're watching this, probably. The meta didn't really change. Long range meta didn't change. Krig is still king. I hope we get to see that changed soon. Hopefully by the mid-season at the latest. It would be nice to shift up the meta again, even if some old metas take place. The AK-74, which was on both my Season 3 long range metas, is not on here. Hard to shoot. The AMAX, less hard to shoot than the AK, more hard to shoot than anything on this list, is off of this list as well. And the Kilo has dropped to the bottom with its added recoil, because the TTK just wasn't as good as other things on this list already, and then they added some recoil, so it got pushed way down. So that is the loadouts. That is the current top 5 long-range meta, plus the 1 extra in the DM10. If you're just here for loadouts, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate any support at all, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below your thoughts. For the rest of us, we're going to go to True Game Data. Okay, and now we're over on True Game Data, and you can see I have all of the weapons loaded, and I put monolithic and reinforced barrel on all of these except for the Growl, where it was a conversion plus monolithic, just to push out that damage range a little bit extra, because some people will be running monolithic, so it's a little more of a comparison there. And reinforced is the way I'm going. Of course, you can put other barrels to look at other things, but we don't want to talk too much into that because that's not very important. So we put on the combination shots. We are just going to go with True Game Data's default, because they did testing for these default percentages of where you're hitting your shots. And if you look, the DM10, you can see outside of the GPR, which people are sleeping on, up until 43 meters, in combination shots, the DM10 by far has the best TTK, and then long range, it has the best TTK as well. You look at the Kilo is pretty middle of the pack, and then once it drops off, it quickly starts to drop off to being the worst TTK. And like, we're talking, where's that last drop off? At 65 meters. With this low recoil meta, you're shooting farther than 65 meters. And even at that 65 meters, the SWAT's quicker to kill, the Cypher's quicker to kill, the Krig and the DM10 are way quicker to kill. So that's why the Kilo has dropped off. The GPR, it's really good up to 43 meters, and then it drops off pretty hard, and in the long range becomes the second worst, which is why it's where it's at. The Cypher is being pretty slept on. It's not any less competitive than the Kilo in the mid range, and then after the Kilo starts to drop off, it never is better than the Cypher again, and it's almost as easy to shoot. The SWAT is like the worst, tied for the worst with the Krig in the mid range. But it's, once again, it's really easy to shoot. And then when we're going into the long range, which what this meta is, if you take out the DM10, it's the third best. And I would put it ahead of the Cypher because it's just easier to shoot overall. Not a whole lot, but it is easier to shoot than the Cypher. And then the Krig, we all know why it's king. Outside of the DM10, it's got the best long range TTK. And it's never the outright worst TTK for even a meter on this chart. So none of them have a lot of recoil. All of them are easy to shoot. With Monolithic Suppressor and Reinforced Barrel, the bullet velocities here, I don't know why these are red. 1200 is still good. And of course, you can increase those with like Gain Twist Barrel, Overpressured. The DM10 is a monster with bullet velocity, but all of them have like good bullet velocity. They're all fairly similar. The overall biggest delta is like 170, but if you take out the DM10, the largest delta is 95, which is like kind of noticeable, but not crazy. And so, you know, they've all got good bullet velocity. There's not really much else to say about the meta. We can throw the AMAX on here really quick. There is AMAX. Throw the AMAX on here. We'll do the same stuff. We'll go Monolithic Suppressor and Barrel to make it similar. We're not even going to throw the AK on here because the AK was always way harder to shoot. And you look at the AMAX, and you go combination. It's up there with the other. It's better than everything on this list in the long range, but it's also the hardest to shoot on this list by far in the long range. So it's not that the AMAX is bad. It's just everything else on this list is so easy to shoot. I didn't think the AMAX was worth it. Of course, you can keep running the AMAX if you would like. But like, it is the hardest to shoot, and up until 43 meters, it's the worst. So AMAX is still good. Just everything else is so easy to shoot, and TTK is not the only factor. Hit shots also matter. But that's my thoughts on the meta. Like I said before, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you like this type of content, want to see it first, and comment down below your thoughts on my meta rankings, my loadouts for them. Let me know your thoughts down below if I'm right or wrong, smart or dumb. And like I said, I will link my Twitch thing down below if you want to come tell me I'm stupid live, or come call me a bot live. All my other socials are linked down below if you want to support me anywhere else, as well as my single player channel and True Game Data if any of that interests you. Do appreciate the support anywhere, or you supporting Tony over at True Game Data, because we love Tony and what he does for the community. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video, and I will see you on Verdansk. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.